The smuggler sighed, as handcuffs were put around his wrists from the large crustacean-like creatures, as they locked his regular and not-so-regular cargo. Then put over the back of the officer as he was brought out of his ship. "I greatly object to this mode of transportation," he said, as he bounced with the stride of the police officer. "Objection noted. As a human you have the right to remain silent. I suggest you use it," the guard said back. "But that's no fun. Just a very long trip in silence. How'd you get wind of me in this sector?" he asked. "You and your ship tend to have a quite potent stench that's quite hard to hide, Larch," the officer said, him and the other officer chuckling to themselves. "Well, that's just rude," Larch responded. He was brought to the large jail building and put through the arduous process of being brought in and accounted for, then placed in the holding cell as he awaited the next steps. "So, how long will my sentence be?" Larch asked. "For the 5th time. Your charges are still in processing. Would you like to see medical in case somehow you injured your hearing receptors?" the guard responded. "Well, I know, but it's taking forever," he said back. "It's been a quarter cycle," the guard said. "No matter. My crew and I have been having a debate," Larch started. "Crew? What crew?" the guard quickly asked. "I mean bar friends that happen to stay on my ship every now and again," Larch quickly stammered out. "Ah, okay. Then continue." The guard shaking her head as she sent a quick message to the patrol unit. "Well, is water wet?" Larch asked. "What?" the guard responded. "Is water itself wet? Like, if you put your hand in water, it's wet, right? So is water wet?" Larch asked. "Well, it's probably wet then," one of the passing guards said. "No, water can't be wet. It can only combine, but that doesn't make it wet," the original guard responded. "No, just because it can combine doesn't mean it can't make something wet. It just can also make things wet, but it can still be wet," the newcomer said. Larch watched from the cell. The two Zeltins became increasingly more heated, turning from a jokingly serious argument into a heated debate. Other Zeltins joining in as the other species started moving away and calling other security groups. The new security groups, however, were mostly Zeltin, which only increased the size of the argument. People tried to start and break it up, but was shoved back. The Zeltin were very smart, but in a straight kind of way, which meant it was very hard for them to disagree on more complex subjects. The carried-in prison riots are shown as an example of this. The tension in the room growing thick, even for the less empathetic species. Then it erupted. Nobody knows quite how it started. Even the camera was not able to see through the sea of bodies, but one person threw the first punch, and the room erupted. The angry yells from before replaced with bellows of rage. The remaining coherent gasps quickly moved as many people as they could out of the way, some being dragged into the mass, crushed underneath it. The carried-in riots consumed the prison for days, as the local government had to recruit other species to deal with the riots, as Zeltin more often than not consumed with the question as well. These riots, and the ensuing diplomatic chaos, had many results. One of the main ones was the barring of humans from entering most of Zeltin's space, along with Zeltin translators now being required to block out many, mostly human questions that had no real answer to them. As well was humans being declared a psychological weapon against many species. They were, surprisingly, prideful of this title.